is up, guys? It's Tracy over here, Kansas gardener guy, Summer Pick Farms. What's up with you guys today? It's a beautiful, glorious day in Kansas. Anyway, very beautiful today. Allergies are on the downhill slope, so I am kicking it today. Been doing some odd and end stuff. As you can see in the background there, I've got the hoops up for the house. That is a whole separate video series. I'm not going to bore you with that right there on this one. This is going to be a garden tour kind of series, and what I am doing today. Is I do a lot of odd and ends jobs. I got a buddy that dropped off a truck. Needs the whole front suspension replaced. All new tires, brakes, shocks, the whole shebang. Shampoo the carpets, clean it, wash, wax, buff it, the whole shebang. I do that kind of stuff on the side as a side gig. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that today. What we are going to talk about is garden stuff. You guys can see, say hello to the Tehama. Woo, Tehama. Lettuce is looking amazing. Had this stuff sitting out for the last 3 or 4 days here because I think we are out of the, sorry guys, got the sun like right in your face here. We are out of the high 90s, mid 90 degree weather. We are high 80s, 82s, 50 degrees at night. Perfect fall. Growing weather here in Kansas. I'm gonna give you another shot of that Tehama. Oh my God. I got 1, 2, 3 trays of Tehama. Got a tray of Karabi, a tray of Harmony, and a tray of regular, I call generic green cabbage. I've got some more broccoli here on the ground. Germination's very spotty. That broccoli came from actually a seed store here in town. Very spotty seeds. All this stuff came from Haas Tools here. Between Haas Tool and Johnny Seeds, germination's almost 100%. Germination is probably about 40%, 30%. That tells you right there. I get sucked in like everybody else when I go to like my local Tractor Supply or by no means this is a dog on Tractor Supply or Sutherland's or Menards or anything like that because they are reputable stores. I get sucked in on the seed packets. Oh, 49 cents. I'm like, oh my God, I could buy these seeds. You know, I'm spending $4 at Johnny's for the same seeds. They are junk. They are what they are. So take that as you may. Got some arugula in a couple trays. I know this is really not the way you start arugula. I wanted to try it to see if I could get it to come up. As you can see, it is looking amazing. So I'm going to get this planted in, and then I've got like, I think, another 1,000 or 2,000 seeds downstairs. I'm going to sow those in. I'm waiting for a seeder. I'm actually just doing it by hand right now, so I'm trying to get the easy stuff in. What we are talking about today, let me put this down here. What we are going to talk about today is, sun tea. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I got my seeds in from Johnny's. They finally came in. So what we're going to do is I've got some hybrid round. As you can see, can you focus in on that? Some red beets. I've got, I think, 500 some red beets planted out there right now. That is, of course, local. Here I go. Local feed store beets. They're coming out really sparse. Some of them are germinating very good. We'll show you here in a minute. Some of them are germinating not so good. So I've got some Johnny. These are hybrid round beets. And I've got some Johnny's, actually some pelleted yellow beets. We're going to plant those. And here I go again with some of this feed store stuff. So actually I've got some purple top white turnips. And actually this is from Earl May. I've got some of your standard hybrid white turnips. So we're going to get some turnips in the ground today. We're going to get some beets in the ground today. I'm going to show you how I seed these by hand. I'm trying to save up for a Jang seeder. I know I could go with an Earthway. My thought process behind that is, why spend the $100, $150 on an Earthway, use it this year and decide I need a Jang, put it in the shed, and then next year spend the money on the Jang. Next spring my lettuce mixes, and then I'll be good to go. I won't have to worry about having a seedway or an Earthway seeder. That's just my thought process. Whether that's right or wrong, neither here or there. So let's get outside. Let's get seeding, and let me show you exactly how I do that. Okay, first of all, before we get too far started, what I've gone ahead and done is I've just took a basic, I've got a basic what I call lawn rake. These beds have been in for about 3 weeks now. They are very compacted, not by standing on them, by the rain, wind, and just gravity. So I went ahead and made 4 passes with the rake to just kind of stir everything up, level everything out. Got the row of collard greens in. The collard greens are coming. It's taking them a little bit, but they are working. I planted them in this hot weather. I knew collard greens will grow in hot weather. I went ahead and planted them in this 9,500 degree weather. I've been watering them 3-4 times a day for 10-15 minutes just to take the heat off of them. They are now sprouted up. They're looking pretty decent. Hopefully they'll come on before it gets super cold. I'm gonna have to throw some row cover on them to keep them going this winter. That's my goal. I'm gonna try. So you can see the broccoli is looking amazing. I've got cherry bell radishes here, and then I've got white icicle radishes here also. Excuse the shadows, guys. I'm trying to keep the sun at my back. So the broccoli and everything's coming on very nice. The radishes are coming on very nice. The radishes are a 21 to 30 day crop. The broccoli is a 50 to 60 day crop. So my thought process once again is, if I can go ahead, put broccoli down the center because that's going to be my main crop, I can go ahead and almost do 2 crops of radishes in the time it takes the broccoli to come off. Hoot the owl, checking it out. Keep up the good work, Hoot. And so that way I could double my beds, because, you know, broccoli's going to take a lot of this bed. So if I could get a couple rows of radishes off pretty quick for market, hey, that's awesome. That's exactly what we should be doing. Trying to make the most out of our bed space. So once again, I've got some cherry bells in the center here, all the way down the line, and then I've got cherry bells and French breakfast, and then I've got my beets. So as you can see, some of the beets are coming out, like right here. Some of them, not so much. Then you get over, some of these beets are looking amazing. Let me get the stick out of here. And then some of these beets, not so much. So I don't know if it's the way I seeded them, which I can't see that because they're all seeded the same. Digging a trench, I walked it, put the beets every 2-3 inches. And I know beets have multiple seed germs in them, so one seed will sprout 5 or 6 beets. So I have to go through and thin them out. I have not done any thinning at all, so I really can't say, like, this is no thinning, but then this is none either. So I really can't say that I didn't thin them out, that's the problem, or I did thin them too much. I can't say that because I've got sporadic growth on all of it, as you can see. So what I went ahead and did yesterday, there's my cherry bells and my white icicles. As you can see, the cherry bells are coming on there. Hopefully I'll be able to pick these the end of this week for market Saturday. Hopefully I could bring at least 10-15 bunches of radishes of each kind this weekend. Maybe make a little bit of filler, since my cucumbers, cantaloupe, watermelon, and tomatoes are gone. I've just got a little bit of cherries left. So I've got my sugar snaps and my peas in here. The wind, when we had that cold snap last week that was in the 40s and the 50s, we had like 30-mile-an-hour winds for like 3 days. So the wind kind of blew these over, but I think they'll come back around. What I did yesterday was I went ahead and hand watered these 4 rows with some 20-20-20 organic fertilizer. Watered it in really good to give them a little pop of green. As you can see, some of them peas there are starting to flower, so that's amazing to see that. I'm hoping, I know I planted these a little late, I planted these about a month ago. I'm hoping I'll be able to get 1 or 2 good crops off of this before the hard freeze comes and wipes these out. My goal is to try to see what I can push the limits here in Kansas. Since this is really the first time I've grown a lot of this stuff to sell, I'm more concerned about keeping it around. So if I've got to go get row cover for it and insect netting and stuff, so be it. That's the way it is. I've got to do it to try to keep a little bit of money going. So my radishes, of course, they're 20-25 day product. I could push that for the next 2 months until we get a good freeze, and then they'll be done. I could also put it into the high tunnel also for like a reoccurring fast crop for some chefs and possibly some market. So I've got a pretty good market stream here in the small town we live in, thank God. My biggest huge city is Kansas City, and it's an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes from here. I'm not going to drive that far and invade that type of market. There's already people growing in that market. The second closest town is Topeka, and it's 20 minutes from here. Their farmers markets had a lot of issues this year, is what I've been told. I've not seen it personally myself because I haven't been there, but I've been told. So a lot of people are not going there. The town that I have our market in is 1,000 people, and we had 25 vendors at our market this past Saturday for 1,000 people. That's pretty amazing to me. We seem to do pretty decent. This is, I'm going to be dead honest with you guys on what I do. We make about $250 every Saturday at our market. Roughly $200 to $250 in our small town of 1,000 people every Saturday. To me, I think that's amazing. To some people, that may be like, I don't even know why you guys are doing that. You're not making anything. To me, it's amazing, because right now, this is just going from a hobby into a partial business right now. To see what I can sell in our market, what people are willing to pay for prices, and also what I can grow for people and what they will take and what they won't take. So I've learned a lot so far. I've scribbled it down right here in my head. Hopefully I can take that knowledge into next year and we can do a lot more producing. But anyway, as you can see, I've got my pop-up sprinklers. I think we've talked about that in the past. If not, all that is irrigation pipe, 3/4 irrigation pipe, some 3/4 threaded risers, and some actually 2-inch pop-up sprinklers like you would bury in the ground for your yard. It works amazing to do this with. I've got hose connections at each end. I've got a T on my spigot. All I do is just switch the valves, and I water these in when I need to water these in. But if you guys want another video on that, I've got to make another row of sprinkler systems right here, and then we could do a video on just setting that up so you guys can kind of see that. Put that down in the comments so I know you want to see that, and then I will do a video on just that. To me, I like to see a lot of stuff. I like to see a lot of videos where people are just harvesting, where people are just planting, where people are just doing odds and ends stuff. That I can see what other people are doing besides me. Do that. I like to watch videos where they actually show them doing the work. But like I said, put that stuff down in the comments down below. I read those comments. I message you guys back on those comments. Oh, ooh, pretty squirrel. I get, yeah, weeds. I get sidetracked when I'm talking. But anyway, so I'm going to do a video on what I do to get these beets planted, or beets and turnips. You want to give some space on your guys' product. The back of this package for the turnips state, I don't know if you guys can see that. You guys can see that, I think. It says you want to plant from March to April and July to August. We're almost the middle of September. Good enough. Sow directly in the garden as early as it can be sown. Cool weather vegetable. Plant 2 seeds together every 5 inches, and then you thin to 1 every 5 inches when the seedlings are 3 inches high. Sow again in late summer for fall crops. Okay, so what I did was I took my garden rake, and I did not come up with this idea. I saw, I think, I can't remember who I was watching a video the other day said that they do this. Anyway, this is basically just fuel line. Anybody that works on cars or old trucks with carburetors will have fuel line laying around. If not, you can go to any auto parts store, buy it by the foot. It's dirt cheap. You can cut it. It sits right on top of your rake tines. I've set these at every 5 inches apart. So this center one's not, it's offset to one side or the other because of the tines. But all this is fuel line cut and pushed down on my rake tines. So all I'm going to do is I've got my bed here. I'm going to try to do this one-handed and take you guys along for the ride at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this rake on the soil here. Let me try this. Set this rake on the soil, and all I'm doing, I'm not pushing, I am just dragging this rake. And as you can see, by just literally dragging this rake, I am making 5 rows. Well, that one didn't go because the way it's uneven, so we'll just push down just a little farther. How's that? 5 rows, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep. That's all I'm doing. Doesn't have to be perfect. By no means is gardening perfect, so I try to make it as straight and perfect and square as possible. Sometimes you can, sometimes you cannot. So I have learned to work with it. So my wife keeps telling me you need to not sweat the small stuff and just work with what you got. I was always, my dad was a welding instructor, a certified state welding instructor and teacher for almost 50 years. I grew up welding and grinding in that shop since I was 5 years old. That is 42 years of that. I am 47 now. So my dad always taught me to always do 120% of the job 150% of the time, and always do it correctly. There's only one way to do the job, the correct way. There's no other way to do it. So I have had that mindset in everything I do, from all my rows being square. I use tapes. I use 3 or 4 tapes. I use plumb lines. I use everything. I like it when you walk up on somebody's yard or somebody's garden and you look at this and you're like, man, this is amazing. They put a lot of effort into it, so they must really put a lot of effort into their vegetables. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm just lightly dragging this across this bed. And yes, you're going to get some that aren't perfect and some that are. You can always come right back with your rake, set it right back in the hole. And I'm not really pushing. What I'm doing is, instead of having the rake up this high, I'm lowering the rake down to put more leverage on it. And as you can see, it's pulling out that bed. If I go ahead and do this on the very last row with the last row, I'm going to be up against the mulch. So I'm going to skip it over to 2, and then I'm just going to drag and follow. It's just like mowing the yard. You put the one tire of your mower into the trench of the other tire, and it actually lines you up perfect. You know, you don't have to be perfect. As long as your first row is straight, all your other rows will be straight, as long as you follow off the first row. And that's exactly how you set up your beds. As long as your first row is straight, it doesn't even have to be square. It just has to be somewhat straight. And when you line the other ones to match, they will all look straight. And see, guys, if you do that, you can pretty much just drag this rake There we go, we got the beets in. And once again, these are just hybrid round red beets. So you can see that does take a little bit of time. Next year when we do get the seeder, this will be a lot easier, because I'll just go whoop, and then I'm done. And you won't have to put as much seeds down, because I'm actually putting way more seeds down than I need, because these seeds are so small I cannot sit here and go every 3 or 4 inches and put a seed down. I'd be here all day. So I'm going to go ahead and get these finished. I'm not going to drag you along for that. You guys kind of get the gist of what's going on, and then I will get back to you when we're done. All right, guys. I got everything planted. So what we are going to do is we're going to take the rake, flip it upside down to the flat side. I'm going to cover this up, and then I'm going to water this in. So check it out. So just flippity flop. And just go real easy now. Don't get all crazy. Just go real easy and cover these seeds back up. go grab me some more compost, and I just sprinkled it on top to make sure all this gets covered up. Hopefully we won't have beets intertwined with the turnips and turnips intertwined with the beets, but I guess if we do, it is what it is. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video, guys. I'm going to grab the hose. I'm going to soak this down, and then I'm going to turn my sprinklers on, and I'll talk to you guys later. You guys thought it was the end of the video, didn't you? Ha ha, I made you watch me water this. Bah!